Hello viewers and welcome to part 3 of our F1 2013 Gamescom coverage. This is part 2 of our interview which we was hearing earlier today, and of course part 2 goes into more details from the game. Let's have a listen to this.
Really, it's the whole F1 Classics concept. So, I think when you first announced the sort of original driver team legend thing, there's a bit of a mixed reception to that. What's it look like? How's it feel? And I think when you suddenly see all those cars on the grid together, and when you see those names, Fittipaldi, Andretti, Mansell, Prost, racing as those guys and racing against those guys, it really sort of brings it alive. And I think I want more people to get their hands on it. I want to put more videos out showing some of the classic stuff, because I think when you do see that, it comes into its own. Yes, when we first started looking at licensing, so I mean we're going back a couple of years now in terms of this stuff. It is hugely complicated in terms of cars, especially teams that don't exist anymore, that changed ownership in terms of who owns that. Of course, you've got the alcohol and tobacco sponsors, which were everywhere on cars back in the 80s and 90s. So trying to legally clear cars and what can you include and what you can't you include. And then going after the specific drivers and signing the specific sponsors, it was a huge minefield. And quite early on, it was obvious that trying to replicate an entire season was almost impossible. I know that modern people do it on PC, but they don't have to get it signed off all officially. Like trying to, one or two drivers being missing could kill the entire thing. And as ever, when you're dealing with superstars and different people, you get a little bit of movement, and then it goes quiet for long periods of time. And we've had a lot of that over the last couple of years. So in terms of having a more flexible approach with the teams that we kind of already had signed up and looking forward to it, it was then sort of kind of looking at what Masters does with football, like legends who've played for other teams but coming back to a team that they represented in the past, and in golf and those type of things. And it started to come together that people love F1 because they got iconic cars, sure, but also because I used to love Mansell as a kid, and it's great to see him back in there. And I think just having that list of 15 world champions in F1 2013, when you see that put together, 29 drivers' championships between them, I can sense the weirdness, if I was coming at it from a fan. But I think as soon as you immerse yourself in it, it's not there. When you look at a screenshot for the first time and you see, I don't know, Alan Prost in a 1999 Williams, you're like, oh, we never raced that car. But it's really about the celebration of each of the decades, and I think looking back now at what we've managed to get signed up, I think I'm massively excited about it. I mean, it would have otherwise it would probably just looking at time trial, no drivers, no personality, and I think our game and specifically the improvements with AI is all about the personality and the names and the legends. And one of the outcries from removing Grand Prix mode from 2012 in terms of being able to do an entire season as a licensed driver, people like to play as their heroes. There's some guys on the forums that I just want to race as Kimi Räikkönen for the entire season, or whatever the case may be. So that's even more the case in F1 Classics. I usually spend more time in the menus actually trying to choose which car and who to drive as than as much as that as on the track itself.
This time next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Seeing this one across the line, I must admit, and no pressure. Yeah, I mean, I think from our side of things, it's a good time to kind of reset a little bit when we look forward in the future. So we want this one to kind of be the pinnacle of the F1 series. We've really worked hard to address all the issues that have been raised on forums and Twitter, and we read all those, and we try and respond to them. Things like safety car, tyre scaling. We've done a lot to address these sort of concerns this year. I think with the sport set to undergo some fairly fundamental changes over the next year in terms of moving to 1.6 turbos. From a game development point of view, we've got the next generation of consoles, so it's a good time for us now to take stock at what we've got. Obviously, we want F1 Classics to remain in the franchise going forward. We don't want it to be a one-off. There are huge costs and time implications of implementing it, but we're convinced at the time of the concept, being F1 fans ourselves, and we're also, looking at the numbers of the videos, etc., of people who are viewing this stuff at the moment. There seems to be a huge appetite for it as well. So I think it's a great kind of, I think we're in a really good place at the moment, but there's no doubt that the challenge of going on to next gen from a development point of view is hugely exciting as well. and yeah, just the next things that we could do with classic content. We've heard all the cries about McLaren and Senna, and as ever, conversations are continuing with people in terms of what can we get signed off, what can there's been no stone left unturned where we're trying to get hold of some of this stuff. We know the appetite's there. We're fans ourselves, so.
Yeah. I think that's the key thing. This is very much the kind of start point for F1 Classics. It's not like the end game. It's a start point. See if there is the kind of demand we thought there was, which there seems to have been, judging by reaction and views and what have you, and what we're getting. So if it takes off like we hope it will, then I'm sure we'll expand on it from there.
Thanks for your time. And,
cool, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Get your hands on it.
So that's it for the interviews on our F1 2013 coverage. I hope you found that all very insightful. We've tried to answer many of your questions, and as ever you can click on these links and see more from the channel, and we'll have more F1 action to follow in the coming days.